Hey, everybody, this is Dr. Kevin McGovern, and it is another Velocity RX podcast. Today's show, the importance of throwing downhill, what that means, and the top 5 reasons why it's important. But first and foremost, please subscribe to this podcast, hit the subscribe button, and hit the like button. It helps us out very much. So let's get right to it. What in the world is throwing downhill? I hear it all the time. Well, check it out in this video. Now, as I fast forward this, you are going to see a tale of two videos. All right. So we see the blur there in the bottom video at about 12 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, certainly a work in progress. Okay. Now, what we see up top is the blur of the arm right there. Okay. Obviously, this arm is going uphill and then downhill. Okay. That's what I mean by throwing downhill. The arm should accelerate last in the kinetic chain. Think of it as the caboose in a train. The engine is the whole body, and then the last thing that happened is the caboose. So I believe there are at least 5 reasons. So here are the top 5 reasons that we should throw downhill. Reason numero uno, number 1, is arm health. Okay. When you throw the ball uphill against gravity, you are putting a tremendous valgus strain on the medial structures of the elbow as you throw with gravity. It is much easier to throw downhill with gravity assistance. Just look at the tennis serve. Okay. The arm motions are similar, they're not exact, but a tennis player can serve thousands of times a week, hold on to the racket, do all kinds of twists and turns with his hand to put all kinds of spin on the ball. He doesn't need 4 days off between matches. The reason why is because if you do not accelerate the arm last or downhill, the serve doesn't go in the box. It goes out of Wimbledon and hits the Queen's Castle. Okay. So reason number 1 to throw downhill is arm safety. Now, reason number 2 is that you're going to release the ball closer to home plate. What does that matter? Well, that is by definition a heavy ball. Everyone's heard that expression, but the ball is 5 ounces unless we're on the moon. It doesn't get any heavier. But when you release the ball closer to home plate and everyone else's release point is back here, you're going to get what I call the Mariano Rivera factor. He broke a lot of bats. Yes, he had tremendous movement on his ball, but most of the time Rivera was 92, 93 miles an hour. He might not even get a look as a closer in today's game, but he had tremendous extension. He let the ball go out well in front of him. He shortened the distance from the mound to home plate. Where we look at someone like Aroldis Chapman, who releases the ball probably at 62 feet, well behind his body, and Rivera is well out in front. So why does Aroldis Chapman sometimes get hit? Because by the time 105 gets to home plate, it's probably doing 90. Okay. So that extension makes it a heavy ball. Now, what is a heavy ball? Your eyes have receptors in the periphery. We have a tremendous peripheral vision. We could see way almost behind us. Okay. And the reason for that is sheer protection. And we all know as a baseball player, we do not want the line drive off the bat hit directly at us. We want it left or right. It's easier for us to react. The reason for that is we don't have as many sensors in the middle of our eye as we do on the periphery. So when we let the ball out in front of us, okay, the eye can't pick up that release point as well, and it thinks, wow, that ball got on me quicker. That's a heavy ball. No, it's just we shorten the distance. Just like the hitter wants to be able to wait as long as possible on his end to lengthen the distance of the mound, throwing downhill with full extensions shortens the distance. So that's number 2, shortening the distance. Number 3, more command. Well, how are we getting more command? Well, because we're shortening our arm path. We don't have this arm path that starts in South America, comes up through Mexico, through the Great Plains, and finally ends up in New York. Okay, it's a shorter arm path moving straight downhill. There's the word again, in a much shorter zone that we're accelerating it last, which means when we shorten something, there's less room for error. Okay, we don't have to keep it on track as long, and we can have much greater control and command. And you've seen it. You've seen these guys. Go watch batting practice. Okay, at any major league field, you're going to see the guy just pick the ball and just here, a very short downhill arm path, and he can throw strikes with his eyes closed. So the number 3 of downhill, throwing the ball downhill, better command. Now, number 4, which is really going to excite people, more pitch spin or movement. Okay. Just think, if I'm throwing a slider, but I'm accelerating it from here, how much more pressure and movement do I have to put on the baseball as if I'm putting out here and just turning it? Okay. If I'm throwing with gravity, gravity is helping me with more spin. I'm going to get more movement, a higher spin rate. And that is, I mean, you can get any sort of, Rapsodo HitTrax to show that as you're throwing downhill, the shorter the arm path, you're going to see the spin rate go up. That's been proven countless times on video. You can see that the guys with the longer arm path have less of a spin rate. The guys with shorter arm path have more of a spin rate, more movement on their breaking pitches, more depth, more left to right, all of that because they're throwing the ball downhill. And the last, which some people may put as the first, but I like to put health number 1, greater velocity. Why? Again, I'm using downhill, okay? It's certainly easier to pedal our bike downhill than it is uphill, okay? If you learn to throw downhill, learn the arm to be your caboose, the last thing that moves in the kinetic chain, that everything is happening, core, legs, everything. The last thing I'm doing is delivering the most amount of force that I can through my arm, down the kinetic chain, downhill with gravity. Velocity has to go up. It's literally a physics equation. It has to go up. So the top 5 reasons to throw downhill again, just to review. Number 1, arm safety. Number 2, a heavier ball. We're releasing it closer to home plate. We're shortening the distance. It's going to get on the batter, hitter quicker. They think it's going to be quicker. Number 3, more command. Number 4, more spin rate or movement to all of our pitches. And number 5, that's right, I'll duck, greater velocity. So those are the top 5 reasons. Number 1, of course, is arm safety. I can't emphasize enough. Every Tommy John injury I see, shoulder injury I see, I can pinpoint when I see the video right there. You accelerated the ball uphill, just like, let's go back to just like the top photo here, uphill. Okay, that's when there's our photo. Uphill, that's when all our valgus force is. There it is, uphill. That is going to cause injury almost every time. You have to accelerate the ball downhill. Okay, that is essential. That's what I teach. If you would like more information or to work with me, you can comment here. You can visit my website, velocityrx.org. You'll see my social media handles. Get in touch with me, and we can work together to do 3 things: increase velocity, perfect your command, and bulletproof your arm from injury. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next show.